Hey, this is Conversations in the Country with Catherine and my friend Kate. And other than just enjoying Kate's company, I invited her out today because we've got something that is very important to talk about. It's not the most pleasant topic in the world, but man, is it one of the most important topics in the world. Kate is with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. She's also with NAMI. And you explain that acronym?
National Alliance on Mental Illness.
National Alliance on Mental Illness. And September is Suicide Awareness Prevention Month. And it's super important to have this discussion with your kids. And it's not a conversation my parents ever had with me, or even a conversation I had with my own kids. But suicide is one of the leading causes of death in teenagers. Teenage boys in certain demographics, the statistics may be even a little higher than that.
Pretty high in certain
It's certain demographics. Yeah. So this is an important conversation. Don't scroll away. Give us a minute. We're just going to take a couple of minutes and give you some life-saving information. Talked about children last time. This time we're talking about teenagers or the preteen years. And I'll share with you that our 16-year-old grandson, Aiden, died by suicide. And so this is something that's near and dear to my heart. This is something I never expected to happen. It had never happened in my family before or anybody that I even know. So I just want to get the information out there that it happens. Mm-hmm. It's real. And we want to hopefully give you some information that might help you along the way, navigate as your teenagers are, coming into these years, 13, 14, 15, 16. So teenagers get moody.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that's
they do.
Normal. A moody teenager is normal. How do we talk to teenagers? And hopefully you've laid the foundation, opening up a dialogue about mental health with your kids. But even if you haven't, how do you talk to your teenagers about their mental health?
I think the first thing is allow them to be moody. We have good days, we have bad days as adults. Our teens are no exception. They're allowed to have good days, they're allowed to have bad days, and they're allowed to be moody. But just checking in on them. Hey, what's going on? How are you feeling? What has you feeling this way? Did something happen at school? Just giving them some options to be able to start that conversation with you. And then listening to them. As parents, sometimes we might inadvertently, well, that's not anything to worry about, or wait till you get older and you have bills to pay and this and that, and this is stressful. But whatever our teens are going through is stressful to them. So we need to be open to where they are, meet them where they are, and listen and let them get some of that frustration and stress out.
And again, we want to put the disclaimer in there that if you had this happen in your life, don't retro wish that you had done something different. We all do the best we can with what we know. So today we're hoping to give you a little bit more to know, to open, these dialogues and these conversations. Now, what if your child simply won't open up? And it seems to be getting worse and worse. When do we need a professional to intervene? Like, how do you know when they're like, okay, something's dark here?
I think you said it. Something's dark here, right? Trust your gut. As a parent or a caregiver, always trust your gut. If something seems wrong, it probably is. And we typically say around the 2-week marker. So if they're having behavior that is constantly withdrawn or different from who the teenager typically is or how they normally behave, around the 2-week mark is when we want to say, okay, we need to take some additional steps. If our child was physically sick for 2 weeks, that's kind of around the marker. We would be like, all right, things aren't getting better on their own. Maybe we need to schedule an appointment with a pediatrician. So similar for mental health, right around that 2-week marker, if things not improving or getting worse, we want to bring in some additional resources and help.
What do you think kids are the most anxious about right now?
I don't know. I mean, life is hard when you're a teenager. Social media is very difficult. It's tough to navigate. School pressure, social pressure. You don't think about all of those things sometimes as an adult. We've kind of let them go and forget about them. But there's a lot of pressure on teenagers, and they really just need to be able to have somebody that they can talk about what those pressures are.
Do you think it's important to have them involved in church, in sports, in something other than, just social media and school?
I think that it's important that they find something that's good for them. What they get involved in is different from person to person. I have 3 kids, and all 3 of my children are as different as night and day. One likes one thing, the other likes the other, and one is just all over the place. So I think it's something that's good for them and makes them happy, is something that they should get involved in. Because if we force our kids into activities, if we force them into groups that they don't feel comfortable in or that they don't enjoy, that's not going to help them at the end of the day either. That's going to give them more worry and more stress.
I just want to add this too. And again, don't retro regret. That's the last thing, but something that just from my personal experience, I know with Aiden, he did some destructive things. And I remember telling him, honey, that hurts me when you do that. When you do that, that hurts me. Well, I said that because I know we were very, very close. I thought maybe if he knew it hurt me, that he would stop. But I think what it may have done was shut a door a little bit in conversation. Maybe he felt like he couldn't, talk to me. And I'm not saying, I know I can't regret, but I'm just telling you, this is a piece of advice I want to give you personally. Don't ever make it about them hurting you or the family. Keep it about them in non-judgment ways.
That's a good point, because sometimes they might not want to talk because they feel like, oh, I don't want to hurt her or him or, whoever their caregiver is. But it's, differently and you do differently. And certainly it's good for our youth to know that we have feelings too.
Right.
And that, we care and that our feelings, are there too.
Right. Right. So what do you do if you're having a mental health crisis? Let's talk about 988. Let's talk about the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. What are you all doing with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention? You go into schools, which Kate is so good. If you have a group of teenagers in church, sports, school, get in touch with this woman, because she puts on the most dynamic talk that kids enjoy. It's dynamic. It's positive. How do they get in touch with you or someone like you in their own chapter, in their own state?
It's really the candy, but I appreciate it.
She bribes
really
them with candy, but it works.
But it works. So you can go to AFSP.org, and I know that you have listeners and viewers from different states. So if you go to AFSP.org, it will link you to your closest chapter.
Okay. And 988 in a mental health emergency?
988 is a great resource. You can call it and get support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is available for you as a parent if you're concerned about a loved one. It's available for youth if they're going through something and maybe they don't want to talk to you. They can call it themselves and get guidance and support and resources to help them, get some help. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be well, y'all.
All right.